The simple request chief engineer Zixtol rubbed his three-fingered hands together nervously as he stared at the ancient communication relay terminal. The power generator had been sputtering for days, and without it, the mining colony of Kethmoran would lose life support within a week. His species, the Velkari, were naturally timid creatures, barely 4 feet tall with chitinous shells and large, expressive eyes that currently reflected pure desperation. Just ask for a repair kit, whispered his assistant, Nixar. Peering over his shoulder, the trade protocols are clear. Standard maintenance supplies, nothing more. Zixtal's mandibles clicked anxiously as he accessed the Galactic trade network. The Velkari had been members for centuries, but they rarely requested anything beyond basic food supplements. Their mining operation was small, peaceful, and utterly insignificant to the greater galactic community. He began typing in their native script, then engaged the auto-translator. Humble request for essential supplies. Power generation system requires basic maintenance tools. Colony designation: Kethmoran, Outer Rim Territory 7,749. Population: 847 souls. Urgent, but not emergency. Please advise on standard repair kit availability. The message bounced through 12 different relay stations, each adding their own translation layer. By the time it reached the inner core systems, several key phrases had been altered. Essential supplies became strategic alliance request. Urgent, but not emergency, transformed into immediate territorial support required. When the signal finally reached Earth's newly established Galactic Human Union office in Geneva, it landed on the desk of Protocol Officer Marcus Hendrick. Humans had only joined the galactic community 18 months ago, after first contact. With a Suntorii trade vessel, the diplomatic corps was still figuring out proper procedures, operating on a mixture of enthusiasm, paranoia, and corporate efficiency. Marcus squinted at the translated message on his holographic display. Strategic alliance request from Outer Rim Territory 7,749. Immediate territorial support required. Population of 847 souls, under threat. Double quotes. His eyes widened. This looks like a distress call from a vulnerable colony requesting protection. Within minutes, the request had been escalated to Director Patricia Voss, who immediately convened an emergency session with the Human Colonial Response Division. The room filled with military advisors, cultural attaches, and corporate representatives, all eager to make humanity's mark on galactic politics. "Gentlemen, ladies," Director Voss announced, her voice carrying the weight of historic decision-making, "we have our first official request for human assistance from an alien colony. This is our chance to show the galaxy what humanity brings. To the table protection, prosperity, and partnership." The wheels of human bureaucracy, amplified by post-first contact enthusiasm, began turning at maximum speed. None of them suspected that 847 peaceful miners were simply asking for a wrench and some spare parts. The Human Response Commander Jake Nash stood on the bridge of the UEC, watching the final preparations for humanity's first major galactic humanitarian mission. At 35, he was young for a fleet commander, but his combination of military precision and diplomatic charm had made him the ideal choice for this delicate operation. Status report: Lieutenant Torres, Nash. Called to his communications officer, a sharp-eyed woman from the lunar colonies. "Sir, the Starbucks corporate fleet vessel Caffeine Dreams is maintaining formation at our starboard. The U's Vigilance and UES Protector are flanking at optimal defensive positions. All ships report ready for hyperspace translation." Nash nodded, reviewing the mission parameters on his personal datapad. The Galactic Human Union had moved with unprecedented speed. Within 72 hours of receiving the distress call, they'd assembled a response package that would have impressed even the most seasoned galactic diplomats. The flagship carried a full diplomatic corps, military advisors, and enough defensive capability to protect a small star system. But the real jewel of the operation was the corporate partnership with Starbucks' Galactic division. CEO Jennifer Walsh had personally insisted that humanity's first major alien contact should showcase both their protective capabilities and their cultural achievements. First contact protocols are clear, Nash muttered, scrolling through the briefing materials. Establish security perimeter, assess threat level, provide requested territorial support, and introduce human cultural elements to build long-term relationships. Behind him, cultural attached David Kim was reviewing pronunciation guides for 17 different alien languages. The man had a gift for linguistics, but even he was nervous about this assignment. Commander, I've prepared gift packages representing human achievement. Coffee beans from 6 different continents. A curated collection of internet memes translated into basic galactic script and portable Wi-Fi hotspots. The military contingent was equally prepared. Colonel Sarah Martinez had spent weeks studying Outer Rim territorial conflicts, assuming they were heading into a potential combat zone. Her Marines were ready for everything from space pirates to interdimensional threats. Translation: confirms the colony has 847 souls requesting immediate territorial support, she reported. Intelligence suggests they're being threatened by some kind of power shortage crisis. Could be economic warfare, could be actual siege. Nash felt the familiar weight of command responsibility. Humanity's reputation in the galactic community would be shaped by this mission. They couldn't afford to appear weak or unprepared. Helm, initiate hyperspace translation. Set course for Kethmoran colony, Outer Rim territory 7749. The fleet jumped to lightspeed, carrying with them the hopes of an entire species eager to prove their worth as galactic citizens. They had no idea they were about to deliver the most overwhelming response to a simple maintenance request in recorded galactic history. The overwhelming Ereval Zixtal was adjusting the colony's failing power coupling when the proximity alarms began screaming. The sound was so unprecedented that most Velkari simply froze, their natural instinct when faced with the unknown. Mining. Administrator Kethlin rushed to the communications center, her shell plates rattling with anxiety. "What's happening?" She chirped in their native tongue, her large eyes darting between the various displays. "Multiple hyperspace signatures," stammered Communications Officer Pixdon, his normally steady hands trembling over the controls. "Large vessels, very large vessels, approaching at standard diplomatic speeds." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that would be burned into Velkari cultural memory for generations. 3 massive human starships hung in space above their modest mining facility, each one larger than their entire colony. The sleek lines of the star destroyers gleamed with obvious military capability, while the third vessel emblazoned with a familiar green logo looked like some kind of specialized cargo hauler. "By the sacred crystals," whispered Kethlin, "what did you ask for in that supply request?" Before Zixtal could respond, the communication system crackled to life. A confident human voice, speaking in perfectly translated Velkari, filled the colony's speakers. "Greetings, Kethmoran colony. This is Commander Jake Nash of the United Earthships Determination. We have received your request for territorial support and strategic alliance. We are here to provide immediate assistance and establish long-term partnership protocols." The entire colony had gathered in the main chamber by now, 847 confused miners staring at the view screen in stunned silence. Elder Voxmerin, the colony's spiritual leader, stepped forward with the careful dignity of his advanced age. "Commander Nash," he began, his voice carrying the formal tone reserved for interspecies communication, "I believe there may be some misunderstanding. We simply requested basic maintenance supplies for our power generator. A repair kit, nothing more. There was a pause. Then Commander Nash's voice returned, filled with what sounded like admiration. Your humility is noted and appreciated. However, our cultural analysis indicates that requests for essential supplies in crisis situations typically indicate much broader needs. We've brought defensive capabilities, cultural exchange materials, and sustainable infrastructure solutions. The view screen shifted to show the interior of the human command ship. Commander Nash appeared, a tall, confident figure in a crisp uniform, flanked by other humans carrying various equipment. Behind them, Zixtel could see what appeared to be some kind of food preparation area with a green logo. We understand. Your colony has been struggling with power issues, Nash continued. Our engineers are prepared to install a permanent fusion reactor. Our cultural attach has brought samples of human achievements, including a beverage called coffee that has proven instrumental in diplomatic relations. And our corporate partners have prepared to establish a permanent cultural exchange outpost. Kathleen turned to Zixtel, her expression a mixture of terror and bewilderment. What? She hissed. Did you click on that form? Cultural collision the human landing party arrived with the efficiency of a military operation and the enthusiasm of a cultural festival. Commander Nash led the procession, followed by engineers carrying equipment that looked far too sophisticated for a simple power. Repair. Cultural attaches bearing mysterious packages, and corporate representatives wheeling in what appeared to be a fully functional beverage service station. Cultural. Attached David Kim was practically vibrating with excitement as he set up his presentation area in the colony's main gathering space. The Velkari watched in fascination as he unpacked items that seemed to glow with their own inner light, something he called smartphones and tablets. Citizens of Keth Morin, Kim announced, his voice carrying the passion of someone who genuinely believed he was changing history. We bring you greetings from Earth and samples of human cultural achievement. First, we'd like to introduce you to coffee, a beverage that has fueled human civilization for centuries. A Starbucks corporate representative, an energetic woman named Lisa Chun, began operating a machine that hissed and gurgled in ways that made the Velkari's shells tingle with nervousness. The aroma that emerged was unlike anything in their experience, rich, complex, and somehow compelling. Elder Vox Marin, driven by diplomatic necessity, accepted the first cup. The entire colony watched as he brought the dark liquid to his mandibles, took a tentative sip, and immediately began what humans would later describe as the most epic caffeine rush in galactic history. His large eyes dilated to twice their normal size. His shell plates began vibrating at a frequency that produced a musical hum. Within moments, the elderly Velkari was speaking at triple speed, gesticulating wildly and expressing philosophical concepts that his species had never articulated before. This liquid contains the essence of enlightenment, he declared, his voice carrying newfound energy. I can see the mathematical relationships between crystal formations and stellar mechanics. The universe is connected through being-derived consciousness. The human delegation exchanged glances of satisfaction. This was exactly the kind of cultural breakthrough they'd hoped for. Meanwhile, Colonel Martinez had positioned her Marines at strategic points around the colony, conducting what she called perimeter security assessment. The Velkari miners, who had never seen weapons more sophisticated than mining lasers, watched in awe as the humans deployed technology that seemed to bend space itself. Ma'am, reported Sergeant Williams, I've completed the threat assessment. This is definitely not a combat zone. These are just really peaceful miners. They actually did just need a repair kit. Martinez frowned, consulting her briefing materials. Negative, Sergeant. Remember, alien cultures often minimize their problems to test our commitment. This is clearly a long-term strategic situation requiring permanent human presence. Back in the main chamber, David Kim was introducing the Valkyrie to something called memes, small images with text that somehow conveyed complex human emotions and social commentary. The aliens studied these with the intensity of scholars discovering ancient religious texts. This image of a feline creature with grammatically incorrect speech patterns, Elder Vox Marin announced, still vibrating from caffeine, represents the human understanding of imperfection as a source of joy. This is profound wisdom. Commander. Nash watched the proceedings with growing satisfaction. Humanity's first major galactic diplomatic mission was exceeding all expectations. The unintended empire 6 months later, Cathmoran colony had become the most unlikely success story in galactic history. What began as a simple request for repair tools had transformed into the sector's primary hub for human-alien cultural exchange. Complete with permanent defensive installations, a thriving coffee trade, and the galaxy's first interspecies meme library, the original power generator had been replaced within hours of the human arrival, but by then, the momentum of Earth's enthusiastic response had created something unprecedented. The Starbucks outpost had become so popular that alien species from across the sector made pilgrimages to experience the sacred being consciousness. The Wi-Fi network had connected 12 different star systems, creating the first truly galactic internet. Chief Engineer Zik Stahl, now bearing the honorary title of First Friend of Humanity, stood in the newly constructed observation deck, watching the daily arrival of trade ships, tourist vessels, and diplomatic missions. His simple mining colony had been transformed into a gleaming space station, complete with defensive shields that could protect an entire star system. "I still can't believe this started with a broken power coupling," he muttered to his assistant, Nixar, who was currently managing the colony's new position as galactic headquarters for the Human Cultural Exchange Initiative. "Sir," Nixar replied, consulting his human-manufactured datapad, "the quarterly reports show we've become the most economically successful mining operation in the Outer Rim, not because of mining, but because we accidentally became the galaxy's first human cultural embassy." Elder Voxmarin, permanently energized by his daily coffee ritual, had become something of a galactic celebrity. His philosophical treatises on bean-based consciousness, the sacred geometry of caffeine, were studied at universities across 17 star systems. The Valkyrie, once the most overlooked species in the galaxy, had become renowned as the beings who first understood human wisdom. Commander Nash, now permanently stationed at Cathmoran, had received commendations from every major galactic government. His approach to diplomacy combining overwhelming defensive capability with aggressive cultural sharing had become the template for human expansion throughout the galaxy. "Commander," reported Lieutenant Torres, "we've received 47 new requests for human assistance this week. Apparently, other colonies have heard about our comprehensive response protocols and want similar treatment." Nash smiled, looking out at the bustling space station that had once been a humble mining outpost. "Prepare the fleet, Lieutenant. It seems the galaxy has developed quite an appetite for human-style problem-solving." The irony wasn't lost on him. Humanity had entered galactic civilization with the intention of being helpful neighbors. Instead, they'd accidentally created an empire built on coffee, memes, and the most enthusiastic customer service in the known universe. In the end, the Valkyrie had indeed received their repair kit, along with a permanent military alliance, cultural transformation, economic revolution, and the dubious honor of being the species that taught humanity how to accidentally conquer the galaxy through overwhelming kindness. As Zixtel often reflected during his evening coffee ritual, sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is a helpful human with good intentions and unlimited resources. The end.